Madan Mohan ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, glories to all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate
Yat satyam amrite neha Adena pnoti mamritam. Translation: this process is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent and the cleverness of the most clever. For by following it, one can in this very life make use of the temporary and unreal to achieve me, the eternal reality. The purport, as described in this chapter, one who desires personal prestige in the Lord's service cannot be considered intelligent and clever. Similarly, one who is anxious to become a sophisticated transcendental philosopher is not the most intelligent, nor is one who is expert in accumulating money. The Lord here states that the most intelligent and clever person. Now it's good to listen. This is it's only 6 more lines, and this is the essence here. The Lord here states that the most intelligent and clever person is the devotee who offers his temporary, illusory, material body and possessions to him with love and without personal motivation. The devotee thus obtains the eternal absolute truth. In other words, real intelligence is to actually surrender to Lord Krishna without personal desire or duplicity. That is the Lord's opinion. Let me just paraphrase a purport which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given to this amazing verse, which praises Bhakti, or the process of devotional service, as the supreme intelligence and the supreme cleverness. He says, human beings in Bharatvarsha, that is this plane, can make use of their temporary bodies, which are hardly worth anything. I've once heard the chemicals which constitute the body is like €4.20. Not so much. If you count that the water is for free, of course. They can make use of the temporary body, which is hardly worth anything, and obtain me, Krishna, with my priceless crown and all my jeweled ornaments. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, isn't that a good proposal? You invest a small amount and you get something which is incalculable valuable. So both Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj and myself tried to share a little something of the process of bhakti with you during the Eastern retreat, and both of us are in one mind. You are really a wonderful and enlivened community. Yes, we can call it a community. And we would now like to see if there are any remaining questions which can give us further opportunity to help you maybe see and overcome obstacles, or see and utilize the wonderful tools that our wonderful tradition offers to us. So we will share the questions. One will take one, another the other, or we might also add to what one of us have said if we feel there is another very additional point which is very helpful. So let us see.
Someone might have a question specifically for one or the other.
Oh, yeah, that is also Nice. And Maharaj said, you might have, some of you might have specifically a question which they would like specifically one of us to answer. And if that is so, please say so. You can say this is a question for Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj, or like this, and then he will answer. And vice versa. Good. So let us start. Hare Krishna. I have identified, this devotee, your good name again?
Akshay.
Akshay. Then I've seen Vrindavan Chandra, and I believe Vishwadev. Have we seen Vishwadev? Let us see. There's Anadi Radha and Suravikun. Okay, this is already 5 questions to start with. And Param Purusha, the father of Bhakti Prasad, is also a question. This is Bhakti Prasad, small sadhu-like person. So, okay, maybe we should give, because Vishwadev is our temple president, I would like him to ask this question first.
I have a question to both of you, if it's okay?
Yes.
Because you mentioned the last days that we have to go the long way back to Krishna as the long way we went away. So it's a long way back. So is there a secret shortcut or how is it?
Shortcuts.
It's interesting, this question was asked to Srila Prabhupada when he came in, I hope I really get it right, it must have been 69. This is etched in my memory. I was not yet in the temple. He came in 69 to the Hamburg temple, and after giving a lecture, one devotee, he was quite young, asked Srila Prabhupada this question: how long does it take to become fully Krishna conscious? It's a little bit like Vishwadev's question. Is it a long way? Or is there a shortcut maybe? So how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, it can happen in 1 second, or it may not happen after millions of years. Oops. And then he clarified it. It all depends on how serious you take the process of Krishna consciousness. No, he said, how serious? Yes, it all depends on how serious you take the process. So that was Prabhupada's answer to this question. A personal reflection on this. Yesterday, someone, a very nice young Mataji, came to me and said, I want to get up, but I just seem to not be able to do it. I want to chant my rounds sincerely and serious, but every morning there's something which pulls me away. Why is it that Maya is so strong? Can you sympathize with this question? We want to do, yes, you all are glorious devotees, you have good desires, but it seems to sometimes we are fighting against unconquerable obstacles. So Prabhupada was also once posed this question. I'm happy today I know 2 Prabhupada answers. Yes. And he said, Maya is so strong because your purpose is not strong. And when I talked to this devotee and gave this very brief answer, Maya is so strong because your purpose, your desire is not strong enough. The devotee went. It was, one of the, it was really a moment of insight for the devotee. And the devotee said, yes, it is true. Because I have seen, if I really want something, I somehow make time to get it. So then the devotee said, Maharaj, bless me that my purpose becomes stronger. It's not so easy. This is the one thing you have to bring to the table, so to say. Can we rephrase your question and ask, is there any tip how my will can become more stronger? And I said, the only thing which I've heard and which I know is true is you need to listen a lot about Krishna consciousness from the books. And you need to, as Maharaj yesterday encouraged us, you need to understand what you are listening. You need to see what is the context and what are maybe further informations that resonate with this. And you need to look for role models, those who have done it, and try to ask them and follow their footsteps. And then, then your purpose becomes strong and you think, oh, I only want Krishna consciousness. I don't want other things. Good, thank you. Hare Krishna.
I think the question was for both.
Yes, now you it's a good question.
I think it's a question we all have, isn't it? Yes. Get me on the fast train back to Godhead. What if we look at Lord Chaitanya's prayer? Nadanam najanam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye.
Mama janmani
Manma janmani janmanishvare bhavata bhaktir haituki tvayi. Now, when we hear the second half of this verse, we may feel, does it have to be birth after birth? I want to end this birth business once and for all. And here Lord Chaitanya is saying, birth after birth, I simply want to be your devotee. So I think one issue is that sort of built into this question is the idea that spiritual life is something linear, and we're on a path, and we come to a particular goal, and when we get to the goal, we're finished. It's done. We got there. Haribol, I'm there. And we think of this goal to a large extent in terms of, indeed, stopping birth and death. And that's understandable. But let's see if we can reflect on what it might be after we attain that. And we might want to appreciate that that's when life really begins. But also that's when Krishna is going to, no doubt, give us new challenges. He's going to say, okay, now you're here, now you're in Golokadam. Congratulations. Now we have some service for you. And he might give a service where you go, wait a minute, I don't know if I can do that. You sure, and then, do you want to go back to material world? No. And so there will be challenges, and the point is that the surrender process is an ongoing process. And in an important sense, we're already there. We've already made it. We may not feel like we've made it because we got up late this morning or whatever it is. We had trouble chanting our rounds or whatever it is. But we're already there in that sense that we are indeed in the process, and we can be happy about that. Now, another point comes to my mind, a nice point that was I heard from Amarendra Prabhu. He's in America. He said, the avatars of Krishna are very wonderful because by their coming here, they free us from birth and death. And that's very wonderful. But even more significant, the devotees, they not only free us from birth and death, they free us from fear of forgetfulness of Krishna. And so by remembering the devotees, we're on the fast track. Because remembering the devotees who are remembering Krishna, we are already there. We're already where we need to be. So I would say the fast track is let's remember the devotees, to put it briefly. And because they are so merciful and they will keep us from the fear, from the forgetfulness of Krishna, then all will be well. And as we are already in the process, we can be confident that we will continue in the process. Is that okay?
Thank you very much. Akash, yes? Akshay, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Maharaj. My question is for anyone or both of you could answer. I was having this question from what Satyanandan Maharaj was mentioning yesterday on how even if we're in the lowest position, whatever position we're in, we can offer some service to Krishna and make advancement. Like a drunkard can think of, say, the wine which he's drinking and understand that the taste comes from Krishna, so he makes advancement. So I was also wondering if the activity is dependent upon who gives the instruction. Because I've heard Prabhupada say that if a disciple is not able to follow some standard, but if the spiritual master and the disciple have kind of an agreement that that is what is best for him, then Krishna accepts it, he says. So what practice we're doing, whatever service we're doing, is it dependent on if it is agreeable to the via media, the spiritual master who accepts it, and is it dependent on his approval for advancement, or is it that only our intention counts? I ask this because sometimes you can get contradictory, different spiritual masters have their own way of looking at things, and it might appear very different. So, is it our intention which counts, or is it the spiritual master who's dear to Krishna, his approval? Is it that counts?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Do you want this microphone?
Well, this is also
okay.
It's important. In general, the spiritual master is, you can say, an office. He is talking what the Shastras say, what is, in other words, permitted by Krishna or ordered by Krishna in the Shastras, and he will also, in his specific interpretation or application of the Shastras, follow previous sadhus and acharyas or present sadhus. He is, in other words, not an independent entity, but he is I like to see it like an office where any person who holds the office just is obliged to keep the standards of the government, if it's a government office or the firm. So the general principle in the Shastra, which is directly referring to your question, is that everyone can practice bhakti according to his adhikara. Adhikara, the way we translate it, is the qualification or the level one, the qualification in the sense of the level one is on. So therefore there are different rules, for instance, for differently placed living entities, and they can all have to all connect with that level where they are. Krishna talks about this in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He says there are various ways in which one can approach him, and so on. So, yes, the spiritual master will help you, however, to find out what the scriptures are saying. He will place you directly when you have a question. He will say, "This is the set of rules that is appropriate for you at this time, in case there is a question." So therefore he is also important. He is very important. In understanding scriptures, there is one principle, samanya it's called. It means the scriptures can be very complex, multi-layered, and in order to know which of the layers is now appropriate for you, we go to a spiritual teacher who has learned the scriptures and how to advise differently situated living entities and disciples. Yes. I had something else in mind, but due to sleep deprivation, I have forgotten it. So I hope this is okay. Yes. Is it? Does it answer your question?
Yes, Maharaj. It did. Yes, Maharaj, thank you. Because I understand what you said, like the spiritual master tells from the Shastras, he doesn't tell from like my meditation, I see.
Yeah.
But he tells from the Shastras and explains it. Like even the 16 rounds which we chant was, Prabhupada said that because it is practical for this age.
Yeah.
So we adjusted it accordingly. Yes, Maharaj, it did answer it. I'll meditate upon more of what you said.
Yeah. Thank you. It's all right. Good. Then we go to Vrindavan Chandra. I think you were the.
Hier und da träumt ein Devotee von seinem spirituellen Meister. Wie soll das deuten? Wie soll damit umgehen?
Maybe. Yeah,
Ich habe es nicht ganz verstanden.
From time to time, the disciple dreams of his spiritual master. How does he? How is he to? What does he have to make out of what does he make out of these dreams? How important they are, how real they are, all this.
We always like to speculate about dreams, isn't it? I had a dream. Dreams of the spiritual master are certainly special, and we should cherish them. I would say that is the essential thing. We should, you know the word cherish? Cherish is to value highly, to feel a special, to feel you are especially blessed, I would say like that. And of course, you may say, well, yes, that in any case, but how do I relate to what in particular I remember happening in the dream? For that, you might want to go to some follower of Sigmund Freud. No. He wrote a book called Interpretation of Dreams, but of course his interpretations had a certain direction, which actually Prabhupada said was right. Prabhupada agreed. He agreed with, I'm a little off the subject here. He agreed with Sigmund Freud that everything in this world is motivated by sex desire. He said like that. That's not all that Freud said. But the spiritual master coming to us in a dream, we can take that as having a special value for us, and we can cherish it and take it as a special blessing upon us. And of course, we want to see how he is blessing us. Well, in general, he's blessing us by encouraging, by saying, yes, you are valuable, you are important to me, therefore I come to you in my dream, like that. That's what comes to my mind. Something more.
It's very interesting that you asked this question, because I have really thought about this very deeply. I think to answer this, we cannot avoid to ask the question, what are dreams and how do they come about? Dreams are usually fed by material that is in our subconscious mind. You know, we experience so much during the day, we see so much things, and a lot goes into this big tank, invisible tank, the subconscious mind. And during the night, we process, also we verarbeiten the many things. So some of the dreams which we have might not be revelations, they might not be instructions from a higher source, but they are at least colored by our own psychology and so on. Yet there are other dreams which are clearly revelatory, which are from another plane than our own subconscious mind. It's an instruction came. Our scripture speaks of spurtis. They happen often in the nighttime, and it's often said as if a dream. It is as if a dream. When Lord Nityananda, for instance, appeared in the night to Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami and told him, go to Vrindavan. This was clearly not his subconscious mind. It was the Lord who had come in a spurti situation as if a dream. It looks very similar to the dream. So let us all now bring this type of information to something practical. Up till now we have heard that dreams are often fed by the subconscious mind. In dreams we process what we could maybe not process during the day. But then there are spurtis, or just revelations. They are very similar to a dream, yet they have an entirely different quality. So when the spiritual master comes to you and he says something which is, Vrindavan, Chanda, you need to look more TV. You could assume that you had a discussion with maybe a devotee who said, we need to be informed, and you put this, and the best way is to look TV, and so you put that in the subconsciousness, and maybe you like to look at the TV, and you were forbidding yourself to look at TV. So now in the night, this is coming up, and you see, okay, your spiritual master. This is not a spooty. This is not a revelation. This is processing of things. But there may be a situation where the spiritual master talks to you and encourages you on your next step in Krishna consciousness, and when you wake up, you feel, wow, this is genius. This is really the next step for me to take on, and then if it sounds a little bit, the spiritual master speaks the same language as the sadhu and the Lord. The language in the sense his content is similar. So then you should go ahead of this. Prabhupada speaks of his spiritual master coming to him in a dream and asking him to give up householder life and become a mendicant, and he did it. He didn't. This was not from the subconscious mind, but he followed that. It was a major decision to give up family life and become a renounced sadhu in Vrindavan.
But first he said he was horrified.
Yeah. First he said he was horrified. And this is an indication it didn't come. You're usually not, yes, we are a little horrified about some things which come from our mind. But this was something unexpected, It came really not from himself. It came out of another dimension. And so on. Or for instance, we may have a dream where we hate our spiritual master. What this could be is that all of a sudden that side in us, that rebellious side, revolts against the concept of authority, and so you have to study the movements of the mind, like Rishabdev says, like a hunter who has just now captured a wild animal, and he has to see that the animal doesn't run away and is wild and harmful again. So therefore, a little critical observation of the movements of the mind is good, but let us not be too critical, so that spiritual revelation is we think it's impossible. It is possible for all of us that our spiritual master comes to us and instructs us in a dream. I hope that verstehst du mein Englisch? Ach so.
What's?
No, I just answered the English.
Ich verstehe schon.
Yeah,
May I
yeah,
add?
bitte.
I don't know, this just comes to my mind. What's interesting is then when the disciple comes to the guru and says, Guru Maharaj, I had this dream about you,
Beautiful, yeah.
and you said this and this and this. And the guru says, really? I said,
Yeah. So it's good to ask, when it is not clear. Yeah.
maybe one of the ladies.
Yes,
has a question.
there were two ladies. I remember Anadi Radha was one, and Surabi. Well, let's go by seniority. Surabi, or
Yes, okay. No, Virada.
Thank you. I would be very grateful if both of you answered this question. Yesterday we heard about fake it until you make it. And very often speakers also confirm this saying with Prabhupada's instruction which he gave to his disciple who didn't feel to pay obeisances, and Prabhupada said do it anyway, or even though he didn't use the word fake it. So, and my question is, by practicing things, we are becoming experts. And by practicing faking, practically we become expert to fake the things. And I noticed that often devotees give up on practices after many decades by telling, oh, this process doesn't work. And I understand that they didn't move from faking or from external practice to experiencing the Krishna consciousness. And my question is, that transition from external to internal, or from fake to genuine, should be done with some conscious change, or because it doesn't happen to automatically in everyone's life. Just you fake, and then one day you are practicing it fully internally. So is there something we have to do, like consciously to change that, or to push that transition to happen? Thank you.
Very nice question, and really I can see you are studying with Govardhan Gopal. You are able to think very clearly and bring your concepts very clearly. The study does you very well. I'm surprised that you've improved very much in your thinking. Good. So, would you like to first answer, or who could? Please. Yeah. You know, there is a problem with these when we translate deep devotional concepts into contemporary language. Let us first now understand what is behind this. That do it anyway. Do it just even if you are not yet there, and so on. You know, Rupa Goswami has written his work Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as a guideline to devotees, and he talks about, I believe, 64 practices in which a devotee can do to start the process. For instance, when a devotee will do things like paying obeisances, or going to holy places, or let us say worship Krishna by doing an arati, he does it externally. He's told with the movements. You may know the arati, you have to count 4 circles to the feet, 2 to the belly, 3 to the head, then 7 all around. That's what I learned. And you somehow do the maths. You know, you apply this. This is an external practice of devotional service. It is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So as you do this, you are expected to come to a more internalized form of bhakti, because bhakti is 2 things. It's an effort, but it is also a bhava, a mood. And you need to come to the bhakti bhava, or what Prabhupada calls Krishna Bhavanamrita, the nectar of of Krishna consciousness, being aware of Krishna. And the way you do this is by implanting Krishna in it. So if I'm standing on the altar,
I don't just go 4, 2, 3, 7. Okay, next item 4, 2, 3, 7, and so on. But I'm going like, oh Krishna, please accept this offering. You are there with Radharani on the altar, and I'm worshipping you now. So the Krishna element, Krishna, 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 that is the meditation, or let us say, awareness of Krishna as the receiver of your service will transform an external practice into an internal practice. Now, in the American slang, fake it till you make it, or is it not slang, it's a proverb. The word fake means pretense. If you remain a pretender, that's bad. That's not good. So therefore, this slogan of, how do we call this? Is it a proverb, or what is this?
Slogan, maybe.
Slogan. The slogan doesn't capture the it captures only one little part of Bhakti. And if you stay on this faking, it's called kapata. You are a cheater. And that is not good. So I think when we do, you have asked a specific question about your observation of all the devotees who never made it because maybe they always faked it. So what devotees need to learn is to become mindful of Krishna, to try to work on their motivations, not to do these things in a selfish way for name, fame, and glory, or other things, profit, maybe adoration, distinction. There are a few things which that they have to learn. It's for you, Krishna. It's not about me. It's about you, Hare Krishna.
Should I still say?
Yes.
I mean, this was complete in itself.
No, you are. You are.
Okay, couple of thoughts. In Vrindavan, you can see a certain style of Ras Leela performance, which is done by children. It's called Ras Leela. It can be all sorts of leelas of Krishna that are performed, but they're performed by children. In fact, they're all performed by small boys who may be dressed as boy or dressed as girl, but they're all boys. And a substantial component of these performances is dance. And these boys are varying ages. The oldest are perhaps 16 years old, and the youngest may be 5 or 6 years old. And the 5 and the 6-year-old boys are also on the stage, and they're also dancing, but they're learning. And so they're kind of stumbling around. The older boys are dancing nicely, and the younger boys and the very small boys, you see them, they're just kind of, they're kind of don't even know really what's going on. But nobody minds. And they're learning. They're there, they're put right on stage. It's performance, but it's also practice. And Srila Prabhupada often said, he referred to devotional service as performance. We are performing devotional service. So you perform playing violin and so on. And that, I'm thinking of the faking. It's not faking in that case, it's imitating. Gradually that becomes something else. It becomes skill, and after it becomes skill, it becomes art. And Krishna speaks about this in the Gita. He says, Buddhi yukto jahatiha ube sukrita duskrite tasmat yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu koshalam. And Prabhupada translates this yoga karmasu koshalam. Therefore, tasmat, therefore, perform yoga, which is the art of work, or the art of work. And so I think this is true for any art. And if we understand, going back to Srila Rupa Goswami, he's teaching the art of Bhakti Yoga. Krishna speaking about yoga in general. Srila Rupa Goswami is speaking about the art of Bhakti Yoga, and he's giving all these details as skills to be learned. 4 circles, 2 circles, 3 circles, 7 circles. Yes. And then we want to get to the point where it's art. And that is done. The hint is also in the same verse, buddhi yukta, that we engage our buddhi, intelligence, which can also be translated as reasoning. Our reasoning capacity can come to bear on our practice, and that way we can make sure we're not just faking it. Yeah, faking suggests deception. We want to, look the part so that we'll be maybe accepted in the society of devotees. But after some time, that veneer wears down. And then indeed someone may, unless we replace it with the substance, there will be nothing there will be exposed. Yeah.
Do you know the number of this amazing verse from the Gita, which you are not by heart?
Well, it's chapter 2. It's around verse 50. Around verse 50, I think. Yeah.
There was Surabi. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had a question about association, sadhu sangha. I was wondering because Maharaj, you spoke about Srila Prabhupada mentioning if you want to become a drunkard, then you have to associate with drunkards. And as I was wondering, sometimes we do not have access to the type of association that we would, who we would like to be as or grow into. And I was wondering, in that case, do you remove yourself from that situation and try to find association elsewhere, or do you try to kind of uplift the association that you're with in order to be able to, or inspire others to also study? For example, if you would like to study Srimad Bhagavatam and you want others to also, you want to associate with those who study as well, do you also inspire them to study, or do you already go to those who are already studying like that? Yes.
That's for me. Fight or flight? Or a combination of both, fight and flight. A lot of such issues are, in a sense, difficult to answer in a general way because they involve specifics. We find ourselves in a specific situation, and this is the case for all of us, really all the time. And I believe the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle made this point also, that ethics, which is asking the question, what should I do, are always ultimately boiling down to recognition that each of us are in unique situations in which we have to make decisions. We can make use of the guidelines, the directions, the Shastra, etc. And then we have to finally make a decision ourselves what to do. And what I often suggest is see if it's possible to do some experimenting. In this case, the experiment might be, well, let's see if we can bring my immediate circle to do some more study as I would like. Let's see if that works. So I'll make an experiment, and after some time, I'll give myself a certain amount of time maybe to see if this works. And if after that time I see it's not working, Hare Krishna, then maybe I do some shifting of my orientation of devotion. Not reducing my respect, if we're talking about different groups of devotees, not reducing my respect for the devotees who are not so inclined for study. This we have to be careful of, because that can then damage our own bhakti lata. But understanding, okay, they're on a different trajectory. You know this word trajectory?
Yeah.
They're on a somewhat different trajectory at present. Maybe at another time they will be more inclined as I am. So I'm on a different I can't even say it myself. Trajectory, yes. Umlaufbahn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you see that point. And I'm trying since recently, this is now my own personal effort because I feel I'm way behind in this, but I've come to appreciate a little bit how some devotees who are very learned in Shastra, when a question comes up, boom, they go immediately to Shastra with some reference for it. So now I just lost my train of thought thinking about that, but I wanted to bring this to some relevant Shastric points. Yes, Ishvare tat adineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri kripa upeksha yakaroti sa madhyama. It's this definition of the madhyama. Adhikari, how he or she relates to four different categories. I'm sure you're familiar with this, relating with the Lord, relating with devotees, relating with the innocent, and relating with dvisha, with those who are not favorable. And this last category, not favorable, the way to relate is upeksha. And upeksha can mean neglect or avoiding, or it can mean something like indifference, just being neutral. But whenever we have categories, we have to question, are these absolute categories? And so we find amongst devotees, we find amongst Balishu, amongst those who are innocent, we'll find so many grades of difference, of shades of gray. And so even within any one of these categories, except for the first one, Ishvara, we may want to see also some sub. So maybe there are some that we don't make a big effort to spend time with, some devotees, for whatever reason, again, because they're on a different trajectory. And that's okay. We can't be intimate friends with everyone. We have our closer friends, and we have those that we appreciate, and we are happy in their association, but it's kind of different from those we're really close to. That is natural. In any case, I would say do some experimenting, and if you see that it's really not working, then it could be that flight is the solution. You reorient yourself.
Yes, it's really your Hare Krishna. Where? Here, this one. Yes, Krishna, Krishna. Yes. All your questions are really very helpful and helpful for several. I would like to just add here something a little bit personal. You know, we as Prabhupada disciples are often the older devotees in the temple, and there are usually only younger devotees there. And sometimes we are in need, or we also are in need of inspiration, at least I can say for myself. And what I find out as very helpful is I go to these courses, or let us say series on something like the Bhagavatam. And I wanted to study the Bhagavatam, and I knew there are devotees who have really studied since a few years, and they. So I went and took part in a course from Sutapa Prabhu, which really gave me a very good overview of the Bhagavatam. Something I think I would have worked for years to get something even close to what he did. So sometimes when you want to study, it's good to go to these, not just one lecture, but a few lectures who are together like a course, seminar. And there are very good seminars available, just as a side point. So who else is there with a question? Gaura Hari, we saw. Your good name?
Vishwa.
Vishwa, like the yes, we have one Vishwadev. Vishwa. And who else? Your good name?
Chirag.
Tirag, yes. Chirag. And Prasida Nitai is there. Is this a child in the back, or who is it? Who?
Karthik.
Kartik. Kartik, yes. I want to see some Madhati, your good name? Kanchani. And there is, I can't recognize you, please say your name. Chitramanini. Right. So let us try. We will go back and forth to the ladies. Have I seen all the ladies, or have I? Jenny is there as well. So we have 3 ladies, and you are a little Parampurusha. Wait, because let us first deal with them. So who was first? You have to help me. Maybe Gorahari. Yes.
Thank you. During the festival, I got a little bit to think on this point of application. We hear so much, we have heard so much, but how much did we realize? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Shravan, the thought was, okay, I should really try after each lecture to extract something to work on. I thought, wow, that's something I should work on, I should do. And then I come out of the lecture, I know, okay, that's for today, my homework, and then the whole day passes and everything is just forgotten. And I don't know if you have any tips how to be more efficiently working on the application of what we hear. Any tips for applying what we hear in a substantial way?
Yeah. Krishna, 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 Krishna. One moment, please. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. This is now on red. Maybe it needs a Golokadam battery. That means oh, battery. Hare Krishna. Yes, this is. I see the person who asked the question has to be there. Please sit down. So this is a question on application, or in the Upanishads, it's in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. There are the 3 learning steps. That's how you learn anything. Shravanam, you hear. Manana, you reflect. And Nididhyasan, which means either deep meditation.
Nididhyasan.
Nididhyasan. It means either deep meditation, or it is said it means also application. This is how you learn anything. If you just hear something, but you don't reflect on it, and you don't eventually apply something, it will be this in one ear, out another. Good. Now, we get so much information. We hear every day a class, and there are sometimes 6 application points in one class. How can we do this? Here, I'm only able to give a personal realization on this. See, I have been every year, not during the lockdown period, unfortunately, but since I'm 28 or 30, I like to take every year 10 days for a Panchakarma Ayurvedic treatment. And when you are there in a good clinic, they will give lectures in the evening where you learn the principles of Ayurveda. And it's Gaurahari, it's like 50 principles I sometimes note down what I should do. Then I come out into my normal busy day. I look at the list, I look at my day, and I put the list aside because it's just not possible to. Yes, I know citron, lemon water with a little pinch of Himalaya salt before you take anything else, and a little yoga before after you raise, so that you can evacuate immediately, and so on and so forth. And before this meal, this digestive pill, and after that, after the meal, there is also three dosha balance, which is recommended.
And sit while you're eating lunch. Sit facing north.
Sit facing north. There is north. It is all good, but I can't apply it. So what I have done in my life, and I do it with good application. I take 1 or 2 things which really go, wow, this I really got to do now, and I try to do the 1 or 2 things from the 50 things, and I stick with them. At the moment, what I do Ayurvedically is right after getting up, or when I get up later than before the sun rises, I take Amrit Kailash. If I take this, I will become 350 years old.
Acha.
Yes, you will see.
I won't live to see.
So I do this, and by doing this, I have learned. For instance, what I learned sometimes there are things which you can't apply, even although they make so much sense, you can't apply regularly. For instance, in my life, it's exercises. I know the need of exercises when you are beyond 50 years of age. Prabhupada has sometimes told to his disciples, the fat-bellied disciples, they should do some exercise. It saves them a lot of troubles in old age. But I just couldn't discipline myself. But I worked, and now I'm happy to say, I think exercise is, and it took me like 4 years to work on this, but now it's pretty steady, isn't it, Krishna? I'm always exercising, and Krishna is lazy, he does not. But he also doesn't need, he's a young man, no need. There's no need, but so my point is isolate things which stuck to you, which us, and then see that you bring them into a routine. And the whole difficulty is to bring something which you know is good into a habit. That's once you have it as a habit, it's so easy. But therefore, I find this out now. I'm getting a little older, insignificantly a little older, but I get older, and I now understand. I remember the old stuff, the old philosophy which I learned, but I'm challenging myself to learn something new. I have to also be a learner, continue to learn new, and I find out my brain doesn't capture so easily new things any longer. It's very good in habitual thinking, what we do out of habit. So the only way to make something new into a habit is you really have to come to a breaking point, where you just force yourself until finally you're through, and then you have a new habit. It is hard work, but it's worth it. And you are only willing to do this hard work with a point that really chooses you, that really inspires you, and you know, and when you don't do it for 1 day or 2 days, you feel like, what a wretch I am. I have to do this now. It must be an inspiring point. Don't try to apply or make something into a habit that is prolonged application of something that doesn't really stuck to you, that is not really inspiring to you. You have to take those who are at these points which inspire you, otherwise you won't be able to practice them in this little initial hard phase. Some psychologists have said 21 days, but it's not true. It is shown as irrelevant. Some things take shorter time before they are habit. Other things take longer time. You can't make a generalized statement. So that is my answer. Good. We will. Maybe we have to now get a little far. So Vishwa, we saw Vishwa Prabhu.
Namaste, Hare Krishna. Sorry if I ask a wrong question. First of all, let me do this. My question is, how important is attire in Krishna's consciousness? For example, wearing a dhoti or a sari, or keeping a shikha, or wearing tilaka. So how important is this? This is my first question. And second question, maybe you have already answered it. How to be disciplined and be continuous in following Krishna's consciousness or doing japa.
I think we will split the question. You do, please, the attire question, and I do the japa question. Is it all right?
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that the attire question in recent years became controversial. I think that's just sociologically very interesting. I would say, in a general way, because you mentioned also wearing tilak, and I see you're wearing tilak, and going to personal experience. When I was receiving formal initiation from Srila Prabhupada, the devotee just before me, we sort of one at a time would come to Prabhupada, offer obeisance, and he would ask, what are the four regular principles? And the devotee would pronounce, and then Prabhupada would say, your name is such and such. So the devotee who came before, was just before me, Hari Jaksha.
Oh.
Yeah. He did not have tilak on. And Prabhupada saw that he didn't have tilak on. So he said, no tilak. He had to go put tilak on, then he could come. Now, it could be that he said that because Urdhva Pundra tilak is one of the 5 samskaras of initiation, Srila Bhakti and Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains. But there's a principle called Vaishnava Chihna, spelled Chihna. This is discussed in some of the Shastras, like especially Hari Bhakti Vilasa, that Vaishnavas are recognized by certain Chihna can mean ornaments or marks or distinguishing marks. So one of them is tilak, one is kantimala. Devotees say kuntimala. It's not kuntimala, it's kantimala. This is the kanta. It's not the kunta. And it's not Vaikunta or any of that. It's kantimala. And there can be other features as well. The dhoti and so on, and this or the sari. This is where it's become controversial. Do we really have to wear these? As one of my good friend devotees says, do we have to wear these big diapers? Hare Krishna. There's actually many, many ways to wear dhotis. That's another subject. You could do a whole seminar on. The principle, though, is, what is the principle? The principle is to please the Lord and the Vaishnavas. And we understand from Srila Prabhupada that it's very pleasing to see the devotees dressed in traditional clothes. Part of the controversy is how traditional are these clothes? We say Vedic. Is it really Vedic? What do we mean by Vedic? Again, that's a whole subject. But the principle, I think, is what pleases the devotees and this can be in different circumstances. When I first joined the devotees, within 3 days they had me shaved up, and they had me in a bright pink dhoti that didn't. It was this what do you call it? Fake silk that couldn't really fold, so it was kind of all over the place, and they had me on the street distributing Zurück zur Gottheit. Yeah, I survived. And I was not taken away by the police. So it's what's pleasing. And here I think perhaps a slogan from my grandfather can help. He used to say that eat for yourself and dress for others. My grandfather used to wear his full suit and tie during dinner at home. He was fully dressed. I thought that was a bit too much. That was his mood. But anyway, that's something to consider. But if wearing, if it's a question of do I wear this or do I wear that, oh, they expect me to wear this, and I really, really, really don't want to wear this because whatever. And therefore I won't go to be with the devotees. That would not be a good decision. Here the higher principle is to associate with devotees. And devotees should also appreciate whatever someone is wearing is a secondary thing, actually. And we should appreciate and encourage everyone to associate with devotees. Come, it's another American slogan, come as you are. It means dress however you are comfortable. So that's kind of the opposite of what I just said, dress for others. But it's back to Aristotle. You have to see for yourself what is going to work. But also you have to see if we are serious devotees, we want to please Krishna, that means we want to please Guru. What does the Guru want? This is something we want. This is a question that we want to cultivate. What is pleasing to Guru, Vaishnavas, and Krishna? And yeah, you may find after some time that wearing dhoti and such, dhoti kurta, I can't stand kurtas myself. I never wear kurtas. I think it's not Vedic. I'm sorry. But and dhoti is it's actually it's nice. It can be very nice. Makes you feel more spiritual to do things like chanting Hare Krishna and so on. So you can also think of it that way. If you are going to do your morning devotions, let's say, before your home altar, if you dress yourself nicely in devotional clothes, you'll feel that'll help you to be focused and be in your. I think Satchidananda Swami speaks a lot about your spiritual space. Get into your spiritual, right? Spiritual sacred space. Sacred space, yeah. Okay. Comment.
I have one related to the answer. Can I say something?
If it's, yes.
I had experience, it was a time I had a service to go to the schools and high schools and have preaching program. And I went with the tilak and sari and like this. But somehow, I don't know, it came to me that how it will be if I go with the usual clothes. And they can more relate, because I thought that they are just seeing like a, something unusual, something very, yeah. And then I asked one question. I remember one from the devotee, shall I go with the usual? No. And after that I went, the questions and relation, they could relate more. When I came with this, they just like this, okay, okay, yeah. But when I came with usual clothes, it I went. I felt that my work and my service was more appreciated, and many people could take books and relate and wanted to have a connection and ask, So this is something that depends on the times and relation circumstances.
Thank you. Yes, and Srila Prabhupada appreciated this too, and therefore, when it came specifically to preaching in public, book distribution, he said, yes, plain, your Western clothes, whatever. Prabhupada said, basically, whatever works. Whatever works, whatever is best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I would like to just briefly answer the second part of your questions about 16 rounds, I think. Do I get you right?
No, I was asking how to stay disciplined and continuous in
how to stay
disciplined and continuous in practicing devotion to Krishna.
Aha.
This maybe you have already answered regarding your
making it a habit.
Yeah. Exercise.
Okay, fine. Then we can. Thank you, Vishwa. Thank you for your wonderful question. And then we go to Chirag. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is to both of you. I wanted to ask, most of the times our happiness is dependent upon others, like how they're gonna behave with us, and how do we believe that it's not gonna happen every time? How do we believe that only Krishna can make us happy? We can be happy only in Krishna consciousness. And once sometimes we are alone, we feel alone, and how do we believe that no, we are not alone, we are with Krishna always? How do we actually believe that in our life? This is my question.
Krishna. Yeah, this has to do with the question of faith. There are different levels of faith according to who was it? It's described in the Patanjali Sutras. There's one commentator, ancient commentator, who speaks about different degrees of faith. The first type of faith is Lokika Shraddha, where we believe in the things of the world, people of the world, friends, society, and so on, that they can help us. But then there is transcendental Shraddha, Alokika Shraddha, which is we believe in Krishna more than the friends, the society, and so on and so forth. And to come to this transcendental faith is only possible if you purify your heart. The word Shraddha, which we translate as faith, is composed of two syllables, Shra and Da, and Shra can also mean heart. So according to how you think in your heart, you have faith in various things. A person in Tamagun thinks, if I drink, this is a solution to problems. A person in Rajagun thinks, if I work hard and establish myself in the society with a good income and so on, that's the solution. A person in Sattva Gun believes something else, and a person in a devotee believes that if I'm with Krishna, this is the purpose of life. You have to see the energy can go in many ways. Let's just isolate three. It can go into the body, and then the happiness is bodily happiness, which means the happiness of the senses. It can go a little bit higher, then you believe in following a purpose, a dharma, something which is describing the meaning of your life. A person who works on the platform of dharma, or the meaning of the life, he will be able to control the senses because he has an entirely different value set and another and another a totally different satisfaction. And then there are devotees. They don't really are too much into the senses, although they like prasadam as their the ventile, where they are not really only concerned about Dharma, and their purpose in this life. They think it would be nice if I find and be my Dharma, be active according to my Dharma, but their real purpose is, I want to come closer to Krishna in this life. And that happens, this desire, this conviction, this feeling satisfied on that level comes when your heart is purified from other influences. So keep on chanting. I want to read because I just got this out for all of you. A quotation I found. Even when you are walking, you can softly chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is, of course, the voice of Prabhupada. Or even when you are on the bus going somewhere, you can chant. When you are working with your hands, you can chant. And when you are resting or going to take rest, you can chant. Even in your toilet room, while taking bath, you can chant. In this way, there is no limitation or restriction for chanting this holy name of God Krishna and his energy, Hara. In doing this business, there is no loss, but there is no loss, but there is very great gain, which is transcendental realization. Chirag and all the others who listen to this, to purify the heart and upgrade your life, to the better version. To purify the heart is just try to stick to one thing. Just try to chant Hare Krishna on the bus, where else, when you're going somewhere, etc. Just try to make it a habit. And I can give you a good link. I don't know the link, but Radha Desh Mellows, first class quality kirtan. So nicely recorded. You can hear it on your earphones when you go into your classroom in the university. You go with a spring in your step, and you go. Just make this a habit until finally you sing everywhere. You're a singing member. Sing. This is the easiest to purify the heart, and then you will see how your Shraddha will really come totally to Krishna. It will rise from the lower objects of Shraddha.
So this will be the way to keep our bhakti ever refreshing, right?
Ever refreshing, yes. And always giving new nourishment to the bhakti. It will protect your bhakti also from, and it will upgrade your intelligence also, your buddhi. You will see more clearly. So, looking now at the time, there was someone else, Prasida Nitai. Can we do? It's also Mataji's are still there. I heard a few rumbles of hungry stomachs. It's now. Some of us are up since 4 o'clock, and we are really in an existential crisis, or at least approaching it. So I feel, in the name of compassion, we have to see, and you can catch one of us. Of course, you may also be hungry. Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj is in the starting position. So pray to Krishna or ask other devotees. There's so many advanced devotees here. So many advanced devotees. You please ask them. Just go. Hari will give us a short orientation because we have changed the schedule a little bit. So it's important that you listen now with full attention. Here is your microphone. But thank you very much, every one of you. It was nice questions, and you remained attentive also. You did not go out or go to your mobile telephone applications, WhatsApp, incoming news or whatever.
If this would be in China, everybody would be in their mobile phones since the last hour.
Yeah,
This is the Chinese way that everybody is absorbed, distracted. So
there's also a lot to do always in China, I think. Is it? That's good. Yeah, he is gonna hide. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, for very beautiful answer to get two different perspectives on the questions.
That's good with the two
Tomorrow we have the chance to have again Krishna Kshetra Swami giving the morning Srimad Bhagavatam lecture.
Then you can ask all the questions.
Also, if any one of you did not yet get the chance to register, that's the last moment. We will have still 10 o'clock there content to 12. So if you missed to do it, please do it this morning. And yeah, later change into the program. This morning, actually, we will have a last workshop on Bhakti, on functional Bhakti, given by Ananda Chaitanya. Ananda Chaitanya will speak on living in Vrindavan, Braj. Even if we are not in Vrindavan, and he is extremely qualified for this workshop.
And he will show a movie also.
Also,
Yes.
Yesterday he was one of our holy panda. Okay, so he's the right person to speak on Braj Bas. And then we changed a little bit the program on the schedule. We had from 4 to 5 a little bit like wrapping the retreat, reflection, question, answer, and like this. We thought that many of you will start their week tomorrow and many of you will have to go. So we decided actually to end the retreat after lunch. So after lunch, everyone can feel free to go. Still, we would like to request or advise or suggest that maybe before going, you have a good time of prayer. You speak with your good friends about what you are taking with you from this time in Golokadam. I was just remembering, I don't know if it's Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami, after hearing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who felt, yeah, thank you, I have heard everything, but now I really need your mercy so that I can implement. Who? Rupa Goswami? Sanatan Goswami.
Put your feet on my head, he said.
Oh, yeah. So we will need most probably a good amount of prayer. Please take also a private time with the deities before you go. And yeah,
You can say in the evening that will be.
Yeah. For those of you who are still here with us for this night, in the evening we have everyday kirtans from 6 to 8 or something like this. So please join for this time. And tomorrow morning for those who are still here, we have Krishna Kshetra Swami with us. So that's all. We are very thankful to all the Golokadamis who were holding the festival and all the teachers who were there for the retreat. We hope it was fruitful and we are very thankful you came in such a big number. Wish you a wonderful day, wonderful continuation in your devotional service. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Du kannst es tragen. Ja, ist besser zu tragen. So, ja. Gut. Dann mal sehen, ich werde morgen bei der Vorlesung dabei sein. Also wir werden brauchen uns jetzt nicht abstellen. Ich fahre bei mir ist jetzt gleich mit
Kann sein, ebenso bei mir. Ja, es ist noch nicht ganz fest. Brauchst du, wir könnten helfen, brauchst du jemanden, der dich findet? Ist das das Thema oder hast du Bhakti? Das wäre möglich. Ein anderer Schüler hier, der muss das mit seiner Arbeit koordinieren. Wenn nicht, ich weiß, dass jemand so da ist ein Auto, was nach Bangladesch fährt. Ist das das ist bereit sein. Ich denke, Nityananda Kari and Surabhi, are their cars which return to Radha Devi? I'm asking because Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj goes next to Radha Devi. There you go. That's a bit early, no? Yeah. He is in contact with one of his disciples who is seeing if he can drive him on its it's likely that he can drive. Maybe he's behind it seems to be from his answer just now. It's very likely. So anyways, Maharaj is already yeah. Also Hare Krishna. You will not regret. This is a very nice thing. Hare Krishna. Here, Bhakti Bhakti Krishna Sound Festival. Vaishnav Festival. Really everyone from Lithuania comes there. Maybe Estonia. It's really well visited. Latvia, Poland, Lithuania. Yes. Last year we had 600. Yes, usually